Okay, okay. Okay, sige, ato ni, wala. Kutsyan? Upat. Okay. 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 You already have a program. So, yung hapon sa tanan.
Maayong hapon.
Ang hapon.
Mga pangsud ako yan sa Cagayan de Oro is now called on to order. Please do stand. An invocation by Councilor J. Roa Pascual. Is he around?
Yes, Vice.
Go
Mr.
online.
Chair.
Councilor J. Pascual, mayong hapon kanimo kunsyal.
Ang hapon, Vice.
Mayong hapon.
So, may hapon sa tanan, ang manguros-manguros.
Anon.
Almighty and merciful God, lover of the human race, healer of all wounds, in whom there is no shadow of death, save us in this time of crisis. Grant wisdom and courage to our leaders. Watch over all our medical people as they tend to the sick and work for a cure. Stir in us the sense of solidarity beyond all isolation. If our doors are closed, let our hearts be open. By the power of your love, destroy the virus of fear, that hope may never die. And the light of Easter, the triumph of life, may shine upon us and the whole world. Through Jesus Christ, the Lord, risen from the dead, who lives and reigns forever and ever. Amen.
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 National anthem. And for the Cagayan de Oro March. Ayong hapon sa tanan.
Hapon.
For regular members of the 19th City Council, maayong hapon and welcome to the 104th regular session ng Guniang Panglungsod 19th City Council. As of today, those who are present, physically present this afternoon, maayong hapon kaninyo. And so as our fellow councilmen in the different abode, maayong hapon.
Maayong hapon, Vice.
Hapon.
May hapon, Mr. Chair.
Hapon.
Hapon.
To our media friends,
Hapon.
may hapon. To our media friends from different media company, I am a beautiful lady at the bar. Oh, Madam Mency Montes, may hapon ganito. So as from Magnum, Sir Kamaktulan, Magnum Kamaktulan. And so as from Bombo Radio, Bombo Patrick, maayong hapon ganito. And so as to those who are present this afternoon at the back, at the gallery, maayong hapon kaninyo. To our fellow
Dung iyon ko ni ang volume dong.
public servant,
Ang volume, di ba hinay man.
Gwapo. Very own secretary, di San Miguel. Maayong hapon. Together.
Wala mo
So
na
we
siya.
are live via Zoom, via YouTube, and so as from any other social media, any mediums that we have to extend our, for the sake of information and so as to our transparency. And in response to the COVID, morning na ingon nanin na ni. So anyway, itong bapo, Ma'am Carla, naari na sa kiliran. Hapon, ano mo. And sa tanan, sa City Council, may hapon. So, at this moment of time, Mr. Secretary, since our majority floor leader is not yet still around, or so far. So our assistant majority floor leader automatically will be our majority floor this afternoon, no other than Councilor Tudolfo Bonglao. Is he present and already aware?
Good afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon, Mr.
So,
Presiding Officer.
so you are already informed?
Yes, Vice,
Okay, so
just this morning.
okay, thank you, Councilor Tudolfo Bonglao, our majority floor leader this afternoon. So at this moment of time, Mr. Secretary, can you do the roll call and determine if we do have a quorum?
Honorable Rener Joaquin V. Olis, Vice Mayor and Presiding Officer.
Speaking.
For the first district councilors, Honorable Edna Imdahino, Honorable J.R. Pascual,
Present.
Honorable Roger G. Abaday,
Present.
Honorable Saldi O. Ocon, Honorable George Isgoking, Honorable Ruben R. Daba,
Present.
Honorable Lodan G. Swan, Honorable Romeo V. Calizo. For the second
Present.
district councilors, Honorable Joylene Mercedes El Balaba,
Present.
Honorable Maria Lourdes Esgaani, Honorable Ayan Mark Cunacaya, Honorable Josette G. Magtahas Daba, Honorable Chudolfo Ilaw Jr.,
Present.
Honorable Enrico Di Salcedo,
Present.
Honorable Jocelyn B. Rodriguez,
Present.
Honorable Edgar S. Cabanlas. For the ex-officio members, Honorable Yan Lam Islim, Liga ng mga Barangay President, and Honorable John Michael Seno, CTSK Federation President. There is quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Secretary. So we do have a quorum, so we can now proceed legally about this mandate of law from us as a public servant, as a councilman. So may hapon sa tanan. So at this moment,
Afternoon.
our majority floor leader, Councilor Chodolfo Bonglao. You have the floor, Councilor Chodolfo Bonglao.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. Good afternoon to you. Good
Mayong
afternoon to my esteemed colleagues and to the people of Cagayan de Oro. I move to dispense the reading of the previous minutes last August 31, 2021, considering the furnishing of the copy to each member as a reading itself.
Properly
Second.
moved by the majority
Second.
floor
Second.
leader. Seconded. Correction, is there any correction? Do you have any correction, Councilor Lordanzuan? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon.
May hapon.
The ordinance that was approved last week, the motorcycle lane ordinance. I think we overlooked the penalties. Majority floor, we were the ones who crafted this ordinance. During our discussions, it was not kung tanaw nato ang violations, wala man tani violations kaning operating motorcycle outside the designated motorcycle lane. Onya, pag-reread na ko ani sa katong agenda nato last week. Murag dark mangud ang iyang pagkakuan diri, wala na ako nabantayan. Ako nabantayan kanirang lane splitting o lane filtering. So kung basahon nato bitaw ang ordinance katong mga prohibitions and violations, wala man gid siya prohibition actually nga murag dili gid siya bawal nga nga mohawa ka sa imong lane. So dapat walaon unta ni siya.
Well, okay. So, may I know the original draft of the said ordinance, maybe within our secretary? I think that can be addressed by our secretary this afternoon. Since we passed the original draft, so we have to abide and follow the original draft. So, Mr. Secretary?
Yes, sir. This is found on Councilor Swan is referring to the penalties.
The penalty.
This one.
Okay.
He's right. This there in the prohibitive section in section 5, requirements and prohibition, there is no provision that would penalize those motorcycles that would be that would be operating outside the designated motorcycle lane. So we can delete this one.
That could be the one that we have to address.
Yes,
sir.
yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So,
Yes, sir. I share, sir.
okay. So, since this ordinance is already approved, so maybe there is a, well, about our secretary, maybe there is the lapses and for the inputs of the words and phrases about the this ordinance as we approve. Page 12. Okay, okay. Okay. As corrected, okay, Councilor Edgar Camalas want to say something about this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. On our rules, if there is, if the minutes or if the minutes did not reflect the intention of the members of the City Council, then during the period of correction, we can correct the mistake that was committed in the past session of the City Council. So I will move for the consideration. Will move for the deleting of A on section 8 violations under the box of violations for the deleting or removal of section A. Yeah, section A. Section 6A.
Okay.
The removal or deletion of section 6A, and that will be, we will be seconding that motion as corrected.
Okay.
And section B will become section A
Okay.
as corrected.
Okay. So I think it is clear since we are deleting and so as to have an addition penalties, but instead we have to minimize the effect. So I think it is much better. But there just a minor error since the inputs for the fund. So that is why we are standard corrected and so as corrected. So for its finality, for the last minutes, already corrected and noted by our secretary, and as requested by Councilor Lord Dansuan and so as Councilor Edgar Cabanlas. So for its finality, our last minutes of meeting as we approve such ordinance as corrected for its finality, properly moved and seconded and corrected. Any other correction? Any other correction? Any other? None? Hearing none for its finality as corrected. It is hereby approved.
I move for the approval of the same as corrected, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Move as corrected. Any second?
Second.
And
Okay, let me now move on to our for our special report portion this afternoon as scheduled. Councilor Chodolfo Bonglao may
Mr. Presiding Officer, there are three
there are three.
members who have signified to render a special report. First is Councilor Lordan G. Swan. Will talk about the benefits for BHERTS. The second is Councilor Roger Abaday, of which he will be discussing about the crematorium. And then the third is Councilor Zaldi Ocon, who is proposing the naming of the Puntod Kauswagan Bridge to Congressman Erasmo B. Dabasing Jr. In that order, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Okay, so as scheduled for our special reporter this afternoon, our reporters. So our first reporter, Councilor Lordan Swan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me preface this special report by saying that I'm very happy that so many of our fellow Cagayanons were able to receive the special cash ayuda from the President at 1,000 pesos per person and 4,000 maximum per family. I also recognize and appreciate the efforts of everyone who worked hard in the preparation, logistics, and especially the distribution of the special cash ayuda. Dagan po kong nadunggan nga stories nga sa ilang mga piligro kay nga nang hitabo. Actually, pila naman ko kasi mana nagsunod aning hinatagay sa special cash ayuda. Sa sugod palang daan ang akong nabantayan gyud kay daghan gyud kaayo ang unclaimed. Onya natural ra pud na siya kay siyempre kung mo adto ang mga cashier, ang uban wala sa ilang balay, ang uban dili makontak, ang uban dili matultulan. So natural gyud na nga daghan kaayong unclaimed. So ako po ning gibantayan kaning mga unclaimed kung unsay nahitaboan ni nila. And then last week nag-announce ang kadakuan sa CSWD na umana 100% na nahatag ang special cash ayuda na 767 million. Sa Monday man siguro to nag-announce na sila sa 99.75% nahatag na in the amount of 765 million. And then sa Saturday, 100% na gyud siya. So, dili na daw madawat ang unclaimed nga cash ayuda. Pero katong dili daw sila mabalaka kay naatay relief distribution sheet nga katong mga unclaimed dato sila ibutang sa relief distribution sheet. Kunya sila mo ay priority nga hatagan sa DSWD food packs. Pero di gyud ko kasabot. Medyo galibog ko kay lisod man siguro moingon tawag 100% na nahatagan ang special cash ayuda na disbursed na 100% kung pila pa kalibo nga mga tao ang wala nakadawat sa ilang special cash ayuda. So, akong gitali per barangay kung pila ang mga unclaimed. Na ako'y PowerPoint. Pasensya lang kay di kay kumaya ng PowerPoint. Anyway, kita nato dia list of unclaimed cash ayuda per barangay. Dili tanan barangay kay ang uban di na nako makuha og information. So sa Puerto na ay around 500, Nazareth 984, Makasandig 300, around 300 mo na siya. So kung kana pa lang ang mga barangay, total nato moabot na siya 10,431 nga unclaimed. Wala pa ilabot tong uban mga barangay. Sa Carmen ako nakakuha og information dato. So daghan gyud kaayo ang wala nakadawat. Gani si Sir Oliver Ehipto niingon man gani tong Saturday nga 30 to 40,000 ang unclaimed. So kana pa lang daan medyo naglibog nako nganong 100% na nahatag whereas naapay 30 to 40,000 people nga unclaimed. Wala nakadawat sa ilahang special cash ayuda. O tungod ni ini kung nahuna-hunaan nga kinahanglan ako mangutana po diri sa City Council para sa atong mga kaigsuonan nga dapat unta makadawat sa ilang special cash ayuda pero wala natunol sa ila. O katupong para sa uban ng mga kaigsuonan nato nga kulang ang ilang nadawatan. Nga mangayo lang unta ko clarification para sa ila. Number 1, asa naman ang ilang cash ayuda? Number 2, nganong dili naman nila maklaim? Og ang ikatulo, nganong pulihan man og food packs? Sa ako lang, lainan ko gunahuna ba nga na mga tao bitaw nga naana unta sila sa final list, naana sila sa clean list, naana gid unta ilang kwarta gidala sa cashier, pero wala natunol sa ilaha. Unya ang mahitabo karon, dili na nila pwede dawaton ang ilang katong cash ayuda. Atong dumdumon kani manggong 1,000 or siguro 2,000, 3,000 or posible 4,000 nga ilang madawat unta. Dako na kainig tabang sa ilaha. Busa nga dili na to ni sila kalimtan. Para biya unta ni sa ilahang nga kwarta, ilaha man gid unta ni. Galisod biya na sila. Maski gani mga kapitan, nakita ko interview sa ila ganina, naglisod gyapon sila kay sila may gipasanginlan ani, sila may gipangitaan, asa naman ang mga cash ayuda? Nganon di man nila madawat, sila may gasigig balik-balikan ang mga kapitan in taon. Sila may pasanginlan kay siyempre sila may naadadto, sila may duol, so balik-balikan sila. So I'm asking the City Council with the Vice Mayor as our presiding officer, let us do our due diligence and in the name of transparency, request from the CSWD a copy of the list of all beneficiaries as well as all of the people who were able to receive their special cash ayuda and those who are unclaimed. And it's also very important that we be provided with documentation such as photographs sa katong nakadawat, their signatures, and their identification. We should be able to answer this question. Asa naman ang cash ayuda sa katong mga wala naka-claim o katong mga kulang ang ilang na-claim? Dili mahimo nga katong wala nila na-claim ilang ayuda kalimtan na lang nato sila. Angay gito ihatag sa ilaha. Anything less is unacceptable. So my prayer is that we thoroughly discuss this in the Committee on Health, Committee on Social Services, and Committee on Barangay Affairs, so that we will have some clarification regarding this issue. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair,
Okay, Councilor
Mr. Chair.
Jocelyn Rodriguez.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, fellow councilors. Hangtod na dili mahatag ang listahan, mapakita sa katawhan. Dili gyud ko motoo, 100% ang nahatag na sa atong katawhan. The only thing na motoo ko nga nahatag ang 100% kung mahatag ang listahan sa kada barangay ug ma-check sa kada barangay nga ila bagyong nahatag or wala. Let's put it this way, Mr. Chair. Pananglit 767 million ang gi-download sa syudad. Unya, ang atong katawan is only 728 including children. Buot ipasabot, nagtagsa-tagsa ka nato makadawat sa 1,000. How come nga hantod karon? Grabe ang mulo sa atong katawan. How come nga ang atong barangay kapitanes hangtod karon gahulat kay tungod dunay mga pending waitlist sa ilang kada barangay. Kanusay panghatag kay humana man ka pagpanghatag unsaon nato pag-ingon nga dunay transparency, unsaon nato pag-ingon nga daa nahatag sa katawhan nga hangtod karon ang reklamo, hangtod karon sige-sige pa ang mulo sa katawhan. Ngano ihatag man ang DSWD pa in exchange sa kwarta nga ihatag sa atong katawhan. Nga unta ang kadungan claim dapat ihatag ito unsay para kang Juan or kang Pedro. Dili na ta, permi na lang ta magpakabuta, pakabungol. Kay murag dugay na ta nga bungol sa atong pagkabungol. Hinaot unta mga konsehales, majority ito sa pagkatanaon ang kaayuhan sa atong katawhan. Dili na ta maguna-una sa para sa eleksyon. Kay unsaon kung mga pildita. Pero sa pagkakaroon, ang ato is at timanon nato ang atong katawhan nga dugay na nagreklamo ug asa ang ilang kwarta. Ako, Mr. Chair, hangyo ko. Ider na ko. Kay niingon man si Mr. Teddy Sabugaan, 100% ang listahan ihatag sa barangay para makita sa barangay sa ilang listahan nga hatag bagyo ni ang kwarta, Mr. Chair. Di ta magpaligoy-ligoy ani. Kay gikan is presidente. Duterte, mauna nagdili atong kwarta. Mauna, we need to look into this matter. Dili ta magpabuta, dili ta magpabungol, lihok ta. Kay pandemya na karon. Kita ray giasahan sa atong katawhan sa dakbayan. Daghan salamat, Mr. Chair. Dili na ko gusto mo maminaw pa anang silent is the night. Kapoy na kinang silent is the night or silent night. Pasko na. Tingog na ta, mga konsehales. Salamat.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez. Okay, Councilor Yan Lamdim. Councilor Yan Lamdim, our ABC President.
Mr. Chair, may hapon sa
Mayong
mga
hapon
kauban.
kanimo.
Ang nagpasabot ang kwarta na hurot, nagpasabot kung abot nga kwarta gihatag sa ato, daghan nga unclaim, kitagaan na ikilag time sa pag-unclaim. Pag-claim, no? Kitagaan giatuan sila balay pero wala siguro sila diya. So, daghan man mga kapitan naglista og additional. Ang mga listing nga wala matagai, so gipagtagaan to. So, katong wala gyud nag-claim, ulahin na nag-claim, wala na may kwarta ang gihatag sa ato kay huhurot naman ang gi-download sa ato, atong gitagaan og food pack. No? Mo na ang situation
okay.
kay naman ta sa ground ako ang Liga President. Naibaon nako daghan mga kapitan nag-complain sa mga additional nga wala malista. So kato gigrantong uban agi sa CSWD pag ingon okay, so gi-second gi-atuan balik, gibayar gitagaan sila. So katong ulahigin nga wala mag-claim, ahead na nag-claim kay uban asa dapat ipaingon. Download naman ang kwarta, kurot naman ang gihatag sa national atong gitagaan og food pack to satisfy everything. Daghang salamat may nga.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chairman,
Chief President,
Chair.
Councilor Yan Lam Lim. Okay, Councilor
Mr.
Edna
Chair.
Tahino. Mayong hapon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to my fellow
Right,
councilors. Mr. Chairman, I think this is a serious thing. Knowing 10,431 unclaimed, Mr. Chairman. Now, if you can imagine, unsa kalisod kaayo ta karon, unya ay dako nga kwarta nga dili maplastar, Mr. Chairman. I think we need to really do whatever it takes to let our people satisfy with our services, Mr. Chairman. And we need to really call all the barangay officials to really do their job also. Try to figure out asa na ni siya. Then, dili na lang ta mangita unsay solusyon. Why is it nga naa may dili maka-claim? Unya dayon magbutang na sa additional. Oh, my God, nanong ibutang manimo kung wala? I think that would be reviewed by the barangay captains, Mr. Chairman. That is why it's importante kayo, Mr. Chairman, karon nga panahon, gugma og kaluoy dapat ang maghari. Dili na lang unta nga kinsay makaduol, kinsay whatever. Basta Mr. Chairman, again, this is kanang dini nato makita ang atong kana bang pagpangga sa tao. Kay we are here to serve our people, Mr. Chairman. Nya knowing as a national ni siya, maulaw pud ta kung unsay nahitabo ani, maminaw ta whatever unsay mga yango-ngo, then we will find ways again nga makitaan nato ang the best that we can do in order to satisfy the people of Cagayan de Oro. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you,
Mr.
Councilor Edna
Mr.
Tahino.
Chair,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chair.
Okay, Councilor Salcedo.
mayong hapon sa
Mayong
tanan,
hapon
Mr.
sa inyo.
Chairman.
Okay, you have the
Mayong
floor,
hapon.
Councilor Enrico Salcedo.
Kini nga problema, Mr. Chairman, last year pa ni sa SAP. Ang problema sa SAP, ug ang problema karon sa special ayuda, mao ra gyapon, Mr. Chairman. Wala gyud improvement nga nahitabo. Kay kini nga kwarta nga gi-download sa ato sa syudad. Kung atong tan-awon, Mr. Chairman, bastante kayo, dili gid siya makagubot gyud unta kung maayo paghandle sa CSWD. Sa unang panahon, nagdemand ta, Mr. Chairman, nga matagaan ba ta sa atong lista sa payroll, pero wala ta gitagai.
Councilor? I
Hello?
think you have, there is a technical problem of your,
Hello? Hello?
okay,
madam.
okay, you may now proceed.
Muna, Mr. Chairman, nga, kung atong tanawon, Mr. Chairman, balik-balik ni siya nga problema. Kay kung atong tanawon, ang 728 million, sobra gid unta ni. Kay kung atong tanawon, Mr. Chairman, ang population sa 2020 is 728,000 times 1,000 is 728 million. Pero kung na-increase, butang ta lang, sirado is 780 million ang gi-download. Butang ta lang. Pero na-class A and B, wala or dili sila modawat sa ayuda. Kung atong tan-awon, Mr. Chairman, sobra gyud unta ni kining kwarta nga gihatag sa syudad. Pero no tingala ko si Councilor Salcedo, gubot lang gyapon ug naluoy ko sa mga kapitanis, Mr. Chairman, kay mooy gyapoy mapasanginlan sa katawhan labi na sa ilang pag-profile or profiling sa mga beneficiary. Muna, Mr. Chairman, mas mayo siguro ma-investigate ni siya sa committee sa social services ni Councilor Girly Balaba para maklaro na to, Mr. Chairman. Kay para na ako, Mr. Chairman, kinahanglan na nato ni i-resolve ni nga problema kay pananglitan kung naay ikatulong hay gayon gubot gyapon tungod kay dili preparado ang CSWD ug mas maayo siguro sa ikatulong ikatulungay gayon idiretso na lang didto sa atong mga kabaranggayan, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Enrico Salcedo. Okay, Councilor Edgar Cabanlas.
Ay, Corne? Ito lang natin ay, emergency.
Hello, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Tumbutan,
Edgar
Vice Mayor,
Cabanlas.
Guiding Officer,
Itong yung
ato lang karma lang ta kay nanda to kuno na itong mga ginawa kay as public officials to observe stability in crisis. Kay nakita karon sa crisis nga pulos ka mga tarantado. After all, kita ko tayo labot ng distribution, so we can be more objective. Now, we cannot assume anything here. We cannot assume. We don't have the facts. We don't have the other parties to investigate, to ask. So, we cannot say there is negligence on the part of the CSWD. What would be our basis? Our basis would be panagap lang, pulos lang mga basin. So, if we want to know I do not know if we will know the real truth here, but nearer to the truth, let us devote the next session of this council during the plenary to hear the parties so that Councilor Swan, Councilor Rodriguez can confront these people and allow these people. The center of attraction here is the CSWD. So let us ask the chief of the CSWD to come, bring the record. CSWD, bring the record. And let us devote that time next Monday for the members of the city council to ask the question. And if we cannot be satisfied with the answers, then we will be on DSWD. The DSWD will be here. And CSWD. And also the Mr. Tini Sabuga, Mr. Hito, para nga makatabang sila pag-explicar. And as I said, let's be objective. Let us not use this forum for whatever personal interest we have. Ay, isod mo kayo ni, mga tao rin po sila. Kay, katong gisulti ni barangay captain, and members of the city council, alam din. Na, posible nga, nahurot ang kwarta, kay, gihatag na. Yan, ay additional lista. Na iba na tagaan sa additional lista, kung ba wala. Namun, naningil ka ron. Kay, lugar, kung doon ay sobra, siyempre, iuli maginan mo. Iuli maginan mo kay i-liquidate man. Pero kung di man na pwede isulus bulsa. So let us not assume nga gigamit sa personal. It cannot be done. It cannot be done. Kung na'y sobra, salamat mga nito nga, di-announce nga na'y sobra, kung na'y sobra, then there must, this sobra, this excess money could have been deposited in the bank or na ready for disbursement. So di dito ma-assume nga, kaya na-sobra, kaya na-sobra niya, di may asang sobra, di kawat na. Simba ko. Let's not assume that. Or let us not, kanabang bitawag na to nga, kanabang atubang tagaan, bitos daw tayo nga hunahuna. Okay, we don't have the facts. So, may I move, Mr. Chairman, that next session, let us give this matter one day. Kaya na ingon nga, grabe na kagsamok, gubot. Okay, so let's give this matter one day of our attention. During the plenary. Di lang nato niya sabit dito sa komitiba, kay malangan eh. Malangan eh, yun niya. So, let us invite the CSWD, the CSWD, Mr. Ehipto, City Administrator, diba?
Barangay captains.
Barangay Captain, di Barangay Captain sa possible.
Okay na.
Kahit nga lang, sinta ko di ka barangay. Sila, kana lang sila. And just like in the court, let us issue the notice and the subpoena ducisticum for these people to bring the record. Finance, city finance, let us help each other. Let us not assume na gikawat ang kwarta. Let us assume nga, naroon na, una ako magpagaling na bilin, explicar, nanong na, asa ka na karon. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Edgar Cabanlas.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair?
Okay,
Mr.
Councilor.
Chair?
Okay, lastly, Councilor
Chair.
Jocelyn Rodriguez.
Okay, Mr. Chair, if we will be inviting them, let them bring the copy. Let them bring the record. We cannot be talking sige lang tas
Already,
Korea
okay.
without the proper documentation. Hangyo ko, Mr. Chair. Whoever will be there will bring the copies so that we can be provided.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez. So, anyone wants to add something? None? Okay, Councilor Lordan Suan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So let me just elaborate a little bit on how I came to this special report. I think Councilor Ed Cabanlas is wise in asking that we devote an entire City Council session for this, considering the potential gravity. And he's also correct that we should not assume that any wrongdoing has been done. That is why I was very careful in my special report that I did not accuse anyone. I simply asked, asa ang ayuda, nganong dili na nila makuha ilahang unclaimed, o nganong pulihan. So, di magyapon ng pataka o pamasangil, busa nga, nangutana lang sa ako, unya, I made it very clear that the purpose is for clarification. And guwapo sa ito nga suggestion nga dalo na ang mga kato mga documents kay para makita nato og tagaan pud sila gigayon nga mag-clear ang ilahang name. Pero regarding anang mga additional bitaw nga listings, ako po na siyang gi-consider nga what if kaning mga unclaimed mo na din ni katong mga apas kanang apas na bitaw unya di na ma-accommodate kay nahurot na ang kwarta. So sakto po na siya. So that is why, Mr. Chair, nakalimot ko kuan Sir Torx sa page 2 sa ako ang katong slide. Nakalimot ko. Para so mo na total cash ayuda nga gihatag 767 million. Total population of CDO as of May 2020 is 728,000 including children. Kung tagaan na nato na sila tag usa ka libo, nanubra naman gani ang gihatag. So kana palang daan nakatol na akong utok na anong daghan man kaitaw maski pag naay apas siguro nga nangayo og ayuda dapat ma-accommodate gihapon. Pero na may 30 to 40,000 sa unclaimed, wala pa ilabot tong gusto magpa-appeal sa portal. Sa akong hibalaan sa Bulwan niabot og 5,000 to 6,000 katong gusto magpa-appeal sa portal sa second batch. So kato dato na din ko naguna-una nga basig unclaimed gid nga pure nga unclaimed. So I think the only way to really determine kay kinahanglan i-define man gud nato na unsa gi unclaimed ina sakto gid to nga tan-awon nato sa session next Monday. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Lordan Suan.
Mr. Chair,
Okay, that is the last one. Maybe we can address it from the next session that there is a complete one. So I have to roll it out. Well, with due respect, with all my respect to the men and women of our local government unit of Cagayan de Oro, from different departments for this distribution of this ayuda, ulan, init, buntag, kada adlaw. So, my salute to you. Well, at this moment of time, in the times of crisis and pandemic, So we must have to act as one, and we have due consideration. But at least in the session, so there is a questions, so many questions. So the question must have to be verified, must have to be with due diligence. It must be based on a factual, based on facts and evidence that we have to gather. Dili mahimo istorya lang ta. But to make it clear it out, so as requested by our fellow councilmen, so maybe at next session around, we have to summon and invite the respective departments so to give light on this and shed light on this for a clarificatory question that we had. So maybe at the by next session around. So and especially our maybe especially our committee chairman on this matter, committee chairman Councilor Girly Balaba, maybe at the proper time or next session we'll invite everybody at this. So, but okay, our committee chairman on social services want to say something about it. Councilor Girly Balaba.
Thank
Councilor
you,
Girly
thank you.
Balaba.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ato lang sa ning klaro ho no nga katong 780 million nga special ayuda dili ni kwarta sa syudad, kwarta ni sa nasyonal. So ang naamay magreklamo na wala na disburse or na distribute og tarong ang katong special ayuda, ang DSWD ang kumbaga magtan-aw nga ngano giunsa ang paglisting. Pero dili man siguro nato na kay dili man gud na ang 700 million dili man gud kwarta na sa syudad, kwarta na sa nasyonal. So ang ato lang siguro diha atong tan-awon kung giunsa ang listing, pero kung giunsa og kung nahatag na ba ang kwarta, pag moingon ang DSWD nga nahatag na ang kwarta 100%, nahatag na yun siguro po ang kwarta.
Yes, since this is a public fund, so it must be subject for liquidation at any time. There is no
Mr. Chair.
extinguishment about the possibilities or the responsibilities of every official entitled of this. So maybe at the proper time. So next time around, I think it is heard, noted by our secretary. So next time, so as requested by our fellow councilmen to be invited. So together with their facts. So okay, that's it. So we will invite the respective official department in response of this special ayuda, and so as the proper person, authorized person about this special ayuda, this respective ayuda distribution. But always my respect and salute to all the fellow employees that of the City Hall, no, from different departments who came up, volunteered, and helped this distribution house to house in every barangay, from 80 barangay. Oh, so my salute to you, my respect to you to the utmost level. So thank you for your special report, Councilor Lordan Swan. So our second reporter, is there any Councilor Roger Abaday?
Thank you very much, Mr. Presiding Officer, Vice Mayor Renel Kikanoy. Of course, to my distinguished colleagues in the 19th City Council, and those people who are watching us in the virtual space, good afternoon, sa tanan. My report is about the cremation, no, that's sometimes occurred last the other day. No? So this is not yet a things of the past, and people who are living nearby in that crematory area, the Divine Shepherd no, in Bulwa, were so much apprehensive and kabalaka sa ilang kaimtang no, tungod sa ilang nakita katong heavy smoke emanates from crematorium of the Divine Shepherd. No? So, in fact, this is already subject. There are only initial investigation on this matter, but mine is just a information to the public and especially to the members of the council with regards to cremation. Now, cremation was thought to be a relatively eco-friendly alternative to traditional burial. So this is necessary during this point of time. No? But the growing body of research, however, that has found out that while cremation may not be environmentally damaging as full service burial, standard cremations in the most crematorium retorts requires the burning of natural gas. And therefore, the release of greenhouse gases as well as the vaporization of other chemicals that may be in the cremated body, such as mercury, used in amalgam dental fillings and dioxins and borans or chemical compounds, chemically related compounds that are persistent environmental pollutants or OPs.
With due respect, okay, with due respect, Councilor Roger Abaday.
Yes.
Since your special report is just for the information of everybody, maybe you have to make it concise and precise. You may go now. You may
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
proceed. You may proceed.
I'm going to that.
You
I'm
have to
going to
make
that,
it
Mr. Chairman.
short.
It's not only introduction.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
I'm just
Introduction pa to.
I'm just informing the body
Okay. Okay.
what
Sige.
is the
You may now proceed.
environmental impact on this cremation, no? The effects of cremation. So how much vaporized mercury is released through cremation? And this is the most important, Mr. Chairman and my colleagues. Now, according to Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, and 2005 study, and all US crematoria combined vaporized total of 600 pounds of mercury per tao. A relative slight amount should be noted, and mercury is highly toxic substance. So even a small amount are potentially hazardous. So vaporized mercury disperses into air primarily as in gaseous form of precipitation, sometimes as acid rain. No? So after mercury has deposited on land and water bodies, it can convert into highly toxic compound known as methyl mercury, which are most often exposed to humans through food such as fish and live in mercury contaminated waters or through groundwaters. Mr. Chairman, the crematorium is near the river in residential houses, Mr. Chairman. I will not recommend for any recommendation, Mr. Chairman, but I want only, Mr. Chairman, because this is necessity at this point of time, that the city, Mr. Chairman, and other government agencies concerned should look into this crematorium. There are two crematoriums here in Cagayan de Oro, the Cosmopolitan and this. So they should look into this one, and they will require because the law requires that cremation should use a filtration system or equipment that is mandated by law, no? In order to lessen the environmental impact. So even requires to submit emission data, especially those ministers are
Okay.
really
With due-
attained. So my recommendation,
respect-
Mr. Chairman, that
With
the
due respect,
committee on,
Councilor Roger Abaday,
Yes,
may I know
Mr.
your
Chairman.
prayer about your special report so that we can act accordingly and precisely
Yes,
about your special report. Okay.
I am repairing this, Mr. Chairman. This is incidents, Mr. Chairman, to the chairman of the Environmental Committee so that they will look into the situation, Mr. Chairman, as to address as to the environmental impact. Maayo man ang crematorium pero this is a maayo nga daot sa mga atong environmental surrounding, Mr. Chairman. Especially, it will affect the health and sanitation of the people nearby that crematorium, Mr. Chairman. That's my concern, Mr. Chairman, of bringing this matter to the City Council.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Councilor Roger Abada. I think it is heard clearly by the Councilor Enrico Salcedo, our chairman of Committee on Environment. So maybe, and I think so the department duly authorized and respective department of this in response to this issue, it is already addressed from Cleanro office and so as our department head Admin Cuenca. So thank you, Councilor
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Roger
much.
Abaday, for your informative special report. So for this moment of time, so maybe there is a question about this, about our number of quorum. So we may now proceed. We may now proceed to third reporter. Is there any third reporter? Okay, John.
Councilor Ocon.
Now?
Councilor Ocon. Mr. Presiding Officer, Councilor Ocon.
Third
is the
reporter.
third.
Okay, Councilor Saldi Ocon. Mayong hapon kanimo. You have the floor.
Mayang hapon. Mayang hapon, Mr. Presiding Officer, mayang hapon. Kadit lang kayo, sir, kaya na ako'y i-adjust kay nahiwi. Okay, kadit lang. Okay. Okay. That's all. Okay.
Let me now proceed.
Okay. Salamat, Mr. Presiding Officer. Mayong hapon, katauhan sa Cagayan de Oro. Tuguting ang akong special report. Ako ning sugdan sa duha ka panid sa balaang kasulatan, Mr. Chairman. Una, mingon ang kasulatan. Nga walay gobyerno nga molugwa, gawas pang gitugutan kini sa Dios. Ang namunuan karon sa gobyerno, tinugutan sa Dios. Ug ang makiglalis sa gobyerno, nakiglalis sa Dios. Gawas pa miingon pang kasulatan. Roma 13:1 ni. Nya pailain sa kasulatan nga nag-ingon. Sira 44:14-15 nga nag-ingon, Mr. Presiding Officer, nga ang mga matarong nga tao sa ilang kamatayon itumod sa lubhanan. Apan ang ilang kabantog magpabilin kini nga handumon ug angay lamang kini ipahibalo sa tanang mga nasod sa kalibutan. Sira 44:14-15. Ang akong bot ipasabot, Mr. Presiding Officer, na ay usa ka opisyal sa gobyerno sa Cagayan de Oro. Kansang binuhatan nga dili gyud nato hikalimtan. Kita nasayod kinsa ning tawhana. Mao kini siya si kanhi the late Congressman Attorney Erasmo John Damasig. Usa sa mga gikabili niya sa atong dakbayan. Una, mao ang Puntod Kauswagan Bridge, Mr. Chairman. Diha pa ko sa groundbreaking niya na buhi pa si kanhi Archbishop Jesus Tukib. Ako pa'y gapayong sa iyaha atol sa groundbreaking kay nagulan man. Nakalimot na ko unsang tuiga, dugay na kayo. So wala madugay na human ang Puntod Kauswagan Bridge. Nahimo pa ganing controversial. Pero at any rate, nahuman na. Ikaduha, Mr. Chairman, kita nang sayod ang katauhan sa Cagayan de Oro o nakabinipisyo niini ang tibuok Mindanao. Sa wala pa ang buhatan sa Court of Appeals dinhi sa atong dakbayan, Even si Attorney Edgar Cabanlas, isip abogado na hibaw ni ana. Nga sa panahon ang kaso, mo apilar ang mga naagrabyar. Muadto pa sa Maynila para i-file ang ilahang apelasyon sa Court of Appeals. Apan tungod lagi sa kawaladon, mahimo na lang nga ma-default ang nasampit nga mo apilar gumikan sa galastuhon nga kadako. Tungod niya na ang atong kanhi congressman nakigbisog nga iyang iaway sa kinasing-kasing sa buhatan sa Kamara Baha sa panahon pa nga si former House Speaker si Joe De Venecia. Ipaningkamutan ni Congressman Erasmo John Damasig nga ang sangang buhatan sa Court of Appeals mabutang gayod dinhi sa dakbayan sa Cagayan de Oro. Mipasar kini sa first reading. Apan sa second reading sa Kamara Baha, gilamok kini sa debate nga makalilisang. Diin upat ka congressman sa Davao. Usan ni ini sila si Congressman Garcia. Nga buot nila dalhon ang buhatan sa Court of Appeals dito sa Davao. Apan tungod kay ang utor, mauman ang atong congressman sa Cagayan de Oro, miingon si Speaker Joe De Venecia sa unang panahon nga ato na lang kining ipabor sa gentleman sa Cagayan de Oro kay siya man ang utor ni ini. So wala magdugay mi pabor ang mga congressman sa tibuok Pilipinas labi pa sa Mindanao nga anhi gayud ibutang ang Court of Appeal sa Mindanao, Cagayan de Oro kay ang Cagayan de Oro sa Mindanao maumay pinakasentro, Mr. Presiding Officer. Og tuod man na approve mao nga naa kitay sa ngangbuhatan sa Court of Appeals dinhi sa atong dakbayan sa Cagayan de Oro mismo. Ikatulo, Mr. Presiding Sir, na dili nato malimtan, baguhay pa ko sa akong buhat sa media. Ang Provincial Hospital kanunay nato ni nga komentaryuhan sa unang panahon. Gumikan kay dili man gakatiman ang atong mga pasyente sa Northern sa Provincial Hospital pa. Tungod li ay kay ang gastuhon sa Provincial Hospital nag-agad man sa kitaon sa probinsya sa Misamis Oriental kay iya man kanang responsibilidad. Apan gitunaan pagayo sa atong congressman sa Cagayan de Oro, unsaon kini nga dili na mo gasto ang probinsya. Iyang gibarugan sa Kamara Baha, nga iyang gihangyo kung mahimo na ang pagpadagan sa provincial hospital dumalahon na sa Department of Health. Og tuod man mipasar sa first reading, mipasar sa second reading og third reading giaprubahan. So unsay nahitabo karon? Ang pagdumala sa Northern Mindanao Medical, ang provincial hospital dili na provincial hospital. Bag-o na ang ngalan Northern Mindanao Medical Center. Dibudo institution na kini. Kada tuig milyon gatusan ka milyon ang gipundo sa nasyonal para sa Northern Mindanao Medical Center. So naapay isa, Mr. Presiding Officer, na nalimtan ako ang bugo. Naay dako kayong eskwelahan diha nga nahimo na gyapong nasyonal, ako na nang iapas, Mr. Chairman. So atubangan dinhi sa akong mga kauban sa konseho, hinaot unta nga kining puntod kauswagan nga tulay atong ingalan kang Attorney Erasmo John Damasig. Kay sa buhi pa siya ako siyang giingnan, Attorney, musugot ka ba nga ang puntod kauswagan ibutang nato sa imong pangalan? Unsay tubag niya? Saudi palihog ayo sa kay buhi pa ko ay harap kong mamatay ko. Mauragid na ang isulti niya sa ako. Ikaduha, Mr. Presiding Officer, ang Provincial Hospital nga atong nakita karon nga Northern Mindanao Medical Center kung mahimo atong imarka diha after sa Northern Mindanao Medical Center, markahan nato sa ubos authored by Congressman Erasmo John Damasig. Mao gyapon, Mr. Presiding Officer, ang atong Court of Appeals dinhi sa Mindanao nga kung mahimo after sa Mindanao Court of Appeals, butangan nato sa ubos authored by Congressman Erasmo John Damasig. Ako nang gi-prepare, Mr. Chairman, ang akong gihimo nga proposed resolution ini nga atong isumiter sa komitiba sa tourism or proper committee for further study may tungod nining proposal nato, Mr. Chairman. Daghang kayong salamat. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Councilor Sandy Ocon, for
Any reaction,
the
Mr.
special
Chair?
report.
Can I?
Okay, Councilor
Mrs.
Roger Abaday. Any? Okay.
Thank you
any
very much,
opinion or
Mr. Chair.
reaction?
This is not an opposition of the proposal of the Councilor Saldi, no? In fact, I will support that. But let us try to verify because previous administration, the late Mayor Dungkoy Imano, this was named, he was passed an ordinance, named this bridge in the name of the late Senator Aquilino Pimentel. So, in fact, Senator Aquilino Pimentel, the late, opposed the naming of in his name. For what reason that he do not like. But I am asking now, Councilor Saldi, if that ordinance was not yet, wala pa man na maamindar o wala na still effective, kay basid ma-duplicate na ang atong, I'm asking the Secretariat if still in order pa ba ang katong ordinance is challenged by the late Senator Pimentel. That is my concern, Mr. Chair and my colleagues.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Councilor Roger Abaday. Anyone to comment? Our members? So, okay, an ordinance amending entitled there is an ordinance exists,
Yes,
but
Mr. Chair.
but so as to delete the paragraph for that section, so we don't want to. So the ones to be named is opposing about that proposal of
Yes,
this
yes, sir.
ordinance. Okay, so sa man di pang gusto ang tagtungod, di ba? Anak lugar? Okay. Okay, okay. Well, okay, in addition, okay, Councilor Edgar Cabanlas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I remember this ordinance because it is 2012. I think I'm still city councilor during the time. And there was an objection on the part of Nene Pimentel because she was still alive. And you cannot name a public edifice in honor of a living figure. Under the rules of, under the law, the historical commission, you can only name a street or a bridge or a building owned by the government to a person who is already dead. So that's why Nene said, no, it's premature yet. Now, but if we can look for another bridge or street that we could name for Nene Pimentel, I think it would be appropriate to name this in honor of Congressman Damasing, because Congressman Damasing is the author of the construction of this bridge. And secondly, Congressman Damasing is, was residing in Puntod. So very, very, very intimate gift to the family of the Damasing. So I will
Maybe at the proper time.
take at the proper time, I will second the motion of Councilor, we will second the motion of Councilor Ocon, at the proper time, to submit this proposal, this resolution to the Historical Commission of the city.
Okay.
And I would like to request the city secretary, our secretary, clerk, to copy and attach the explanation of Councilor Ocon to that resolution, so that the members of the city commission, the historical commission, can read the reason and rationale behind our proposal. Para klaro maguto ka itong mga statement ni Councilor Ocon, ang ito yung mga reason. So that would be attached to the minutes should be attached to the resolution of the city council. And we will look for another suitable, yes, the convention center. Convention center, yes, so, kaya aron dili maduha. Ba? So convention center, we will reserve that for Nini.
Well, okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Edgar Cabanas. Well, since that project that you had mentioned is not yet turned it over to the LGU of Cagayan de Oro, so we are not subject for that entitled for it for any entitlement for any subject that we are planning about it, since it's not yet turn it over to the local government unit of Cagayan de Oro. So maybe at the proper time for that proposal. So thank you, Councilor Saldi Ocon. But this special report must be referred to the Committee on Tourism, chaired by Councilor J. Roa Pascual. Is he around, Councilor J?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, you heard the discussion and the special report. So maybe you can, for the requisites about naming of any streets, bridges, and any other government-owned buildings or any mayors or congressmen that we are entitled, or the power vested upon us or in the council. So at the proper time, bring this matter and so as to the National Historical Institute for the requisites about this subject. Councilor J.
Okay, Mr. Chair, copy.
Chaired by Councilor J. Roa Pascual, Committee on Tourism.
Lang. Awag yun na.
Okay, so that could be our last reporter. Maybe we'll go on to our agenda or our orders of the day. Majority floor, Councilor Tudolfo Bunglao.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. Item number letter I, proposed resolution number 2021-184, returning to the Barangay Council of Barangay number 24 this city, its appropriation ordinance number 001 series of 2021, covering its annual budget for calendar year 2021 with an estimated income of 12,647,131 pesos, with the information that said ordinance is operative in its entirety. I move for the approval, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Second.
The majority floor, seconded. Objection about the proposal? None. Hearing none. Resolution number 2021-184 is hereby approved.
Item number 2, proposed resolution number
Okay, for
2021.
finality, for its
I move for the to suspend
dispensation,
the second and final reading.
Second.
for dispensation for its finality and seconded, properly moved and seconded, it is hereby approved. Okay, Councilor Chedor Puguglao, you may now proceed.
Item number 2, proposed resolution number 2021-185, expressing the city's sincere appreciation and profound gratitude to the Raison group of companies for donating 20,000 doses of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines to Cagayan de Oro City. I move for its approval, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Second.
Seconded, objection. Objection none. Hearing none. Resolution number 2021-185 is hereby approved.
I move to dispense second and final reading.
Second.
And for its finality, seconded.
Item number 3, proposed ordinance number 2021-147, appropriating the sum of 65,881 pesos and 86 centavos from the continuing appropriation annual budget calendar year 2019 non-office land acquisition appropriation to be made available for the full payment of the claim for just compensation of the improvements mango trees owned by Councilor Edna M. Dahino, which were traversed by the proposed road from South Diversion Road to Convention Center, passing through the Court of Appeals Mindanao Station, located at Sitio Taguanao, Barangay Indahagdi City, and for this purpose, authorizing the Honorable City Mayor to sign the deed of absolute sale thereof. I move for its approval, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Second.
Approval. Ordinance number 2021-147, properly moved. Any second? Seconded.
Second.
Objecting by Councilor Dahino. Dili. Abstention. Okay, there will be an abstention. Well, aning kuan na lang, no? Kanang
Wala.
delikatisa. Okay, so there could be an abstention. Objection? As proposed, objection? Properly moved and seconded. Since there is no objection, but there is an abstention, Mr. Secretary. Okay, ordinance number 2021-147 is hereby approved.
I move to dispense second and final reading.
And for its
Second.
finality, seconded.
Item number 4, proposed ordinance number 2021-148, appropriating the sum of 721,561 and 97 centavos from the item non-office general public services, personal services, terminal leave benefits earmarked for Miss Yolanda U. Galagala, Nurse 3, City Health Officer in the 2021 annual budget to be made available for the payment of the terminal leave pay of the herein personnel of said office who retired from the government service to it.
Okay.
Vicente A. Miso, Midwife 2. Vivian A. Miso, Midwife 2. 106,093 pesos. Edna C. Chavez, Midwife 3. 615,468 and 97 centavos. I move for its approval, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Okay, as proposed by the majority floor leader. Any second?
Second.
Seconded. Objection? Is there any? Objection? Hearing none. Hearing none. Ordinance number 2021-148 is hereby approved.
I move to dispense second and final reading.
Dispense for its finality. Any second? Seconded.
I move for the inclusion, item number 5 and number 6, Mr.
For
Presiding Officer.
inclusion. For
Second.
inclusion. Any seconds? Okay, seconded. Carry on. Majority floor.
Item number 5, proposed resolution number 2021-186, expressing the 19th City Council sorrow for the untimely demise of Engineer Emmanuel D. Abuela, former City Planning and Development Coordinator and City Councilor 2007-2013, the city, and conveying most profound sympathy and condolences to the bereaved family. I move for its approval, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Second.
Properly moved. And
Second.
Objection? None. None. Resolution number 2021, that's 186, is hereby approved.
I move to dispense second
Second.
final reading.
Hindi kami.
Thanks for its finality.
Second.
Seconded.
Item number 6, proposed resolution number 2021-187, declaring the month of October 2021 and every year thereafter as the Be Honest Month in Cagayan de Oro City, in observance of the Brotherhood of Christian Businessmen and Professionals, BCBP, advocacy celebration thereof. Proponent, Councilor Enrico D. Salcedo. I move for its approval, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Second.
Properly moved by the majority floor leader and seconded. Okay, discussion by Councilor Edna. No, this could not be an objection. But,
Again, good afternoon, Mr.
Councilor
Chairman.
Enrico Salcedo, is he around?
Query lang, Mr. Chairman, from the author. I'm just wondering why the author decided that only on October, every October as Be Honest Month. Is it not proper that we have to be honest every day? Thank you.
Hey, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to Councilor Edna Dahino. Actually, Mr. Chairman, na-ay letter ang BCBP West Chapter Head ni Mr. Arnolfo Paterno Sason and BCBP East Chapter Head ni Jesus Emmanuel Paras na naghangyo ka nato na pwede ba ma-declare nato ang month of October is Be Honest Month, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so you're just acting in reflection about your personality, Councilor.
Pareho nagyapon, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So, as a person, it must be reflected by the proponent alone. So, since the query of Councilor Edna Dahino is not an objection, but just a clarificatory question. So, there is a pending motion, properly moved and seconded. Objection? Is there any objection? Well, the one who are objecting about this is absolutely not an honest man. So, resolution number 2021-187, since there is no objection after all, it is hereby approved.
I move to dispense second and final reading.
Second.
Dispense for its finality and seconded.
There being no more matter, Mr. Presiding Officer, to be discussed, I move for the